Hello, I'm Ashan Hampton, English instructor, and welcome to my presentation on the writing process. Whether you are a college student, high school student, or a professional writer, the process of going from a blank page to a well-crafted essay or writing process is pretty much the same. So let's get started. Step one of the writing process is exploring ideas. You want to consider your subject, consider the purpose, and consider the audience. Now let's take a look at these in more detail. Let's say your subject is a job you have performed in a work environment or at home. Perhaps this is a topic that your instructor has assigned to you. The purpose could be to inform, to persuade, or to entertain. For example, you might want to inform your audience about a procedure or something you do at work. You might want to persuade people to find a job just like yours or to avoid the industry that you're in. Or you might want to entertain your audience with strange or funny incidents that happened at the job. You also want to consider your audience. Now, who is your audience? Basically, your audience consists of the people who will read your work. That could be your instructor, maybe your classmates, or your supervisor. Basically, whoever is reading your work or whoever you want to target for your writing is your audience. Remember, your audience will vary depending on the situation and the purpose of your writing. Here's what we mean. Let's say your topic is the benefits of a good diet, and your audience or the people you are targeting are overweight adults. You might emphasize better health. You might stress better appearance as a benefit of a good diet, or feelings of accomplishment. Now let's say your audience is a group of athletes. You're thinking already, well, the benefits will probably be different. The ones you stress will probably differ from the ones you gave to overweight adults. You might want to emphasize peak performance. A good diet will help them perform at top levels. You might mention it will help them maintain their optimal body weight. Perhaps they are boxers or in a sport where they need to have a certain body weight. Maintain their appearance. Now this one is similar to the one you mentioned for overweight adults, but let's say the athlete has endorsement deals from Nike. Perhaps he's a local model and he has to look a certain way. Then your reasoning will be different than the reasoning you give to overweight adults. Step 2 in the writing process is pre-writing. Pre-writing are strategies to help you generate ideas and support for your topic. Basically, it gets your juices flowing, so to speak. Brainstorming is a strategy where you jot down or list out your ideas on a sheet of paper in words or brief phrases. You are not trying to write complete sentences at this particular point with this strategy. Another pre-writing strategy is clustering. You draw graphical circles labeled with words or phrases to capture your ideas. Notice that the main idea is the center circle, and all of the subtopics or related ideas branch out from it. Another popular pre-writing technique is free writing. In this one, you allow yourself a specified amount of time, for example 10 minutes, to write anything that comes to mind about your topic with no regard for organization or editing. In this technique, your pen does not leave the page. You do not stop writing. You do not focus on whether or not you're spelling words correctly or if you're making grammar mistakes. You just write. This is very helpful if you feel a little writer's block about a particular topic. Next, questioning. And these are called the reporter's questions. Who? What? When? Where? Why? And how? Yes, a little razzle-dazzle there. You write these questions on your paper and try to answer them as best as possible, depending on your subject and the audience you want to target. Another strategy of pre-writing is journaling. This is when you use a notebook to write your raw, private thoughts about your ideas on a particular topic. Now, your instructor might require you to keep a journal, which means they might assign specific topics, or they might want you to format it in a particular way. So your thoughts may not be so private if you are required to turn it in. So remember, it is not like a diary where you write everything about your personal life. But if your journal is required to submit for a grade, then just keep those tips in mind. Step 3 of the writing process is organizing. This is when you select or choose the details to include in the final version of your paper. You can write a formal outline or an informal outline. It is very helpful to visualize the organization of your paper. At this point, you can tell if your ideas will flow in a logical order, or if you need to include or subtract particular types of information. But having an outline to focus your thoughts is very good in keeping your essay organized. Step 4 of the writing process. Yes, we get to the nitty-gritty. This is writing the first draft. You use the notes from your outline to formulate your ideas into essay format. This is when you consider the content that you will use to fill in your outline or to fill in essay structure. For example, what are you going to write in your introduction? What will be your first body paragraph? What will you put in your conclusion? This is when you figure out the content that you will put in your essay or writing project. Remember this tip. At this point, your writing does not need to be perfect. You're just trying to get your ideas out and to organize them in essay format. Step 5, revising the draft. Now, if you hand wrote the first draft of your essay, go ahead and type it out. This will help you to see exactly what you have so far. And also it will help you to see what you need to change or to rearrange. At this point, when you type it, go ahead and put it in the proper format, for example, APA or MLA. Organize it, put all of your details in order, finalize it, basically get it ready to submit at this point. Here's some tips for revising your essay. Review the draft. That means cut parts that do not fit, add information. You might need to rewrite sentences or paragraphs for clarity. Rearrange sentences in the paragraph so that your paragraph is properly organized. You might need to rearrange paragraphs in the whole essay so that it flows in logical order. Secondly, read it aloud. This will help you hear mistakes that you might have in your paper. A lot of the times, if you have omitted a word, for example, when you read it aloud, you might be able to hear the fact that, oh, I need to put a word there. Because if you just look at it on your computer screen or on a hard copy, you might overlook it. So reading it is always a good revising tip. Next, oh, you're almost done. Step 6 of the writing process is to produce the final copy. Here's when you want to edit your paper. That means you need to print out a typed draft of your paper. Once again, carefully examine the essay for typos, misspelled words, grammatical errors, incorrect punctuation, incomplete sentences, omitted words or missing words, and any other mistakes that might occur in your paper. Use a red pen to help you see errors on the printed draft. Now, this is old school, but this is what I do. A lot of psychologists say, oh, use a different color ink so that students won't feel bad. And if you want to use purple, but I use red because it really helps me to identify the mistakes that I need to correct. And yeah, that is old school, but it still works. Next, proofread your paper. Now, this is different from editing. At this point, your paper should be done. So you want to print out one more more copy. After making all the corrections in the word processor, print another copy of your paper. Read the paper again to correct all errors before submitting the final copy. Now, a lot of people tend to overlook this step. Let's say you're typing a resume and you accidentally left 2 typos in it, but you submitted it anyway. I have known of a manager who tossed out all resumes that had any kind of error in it, large or small. So before you submit your final work, you absolutely want to make sure there are no mistakes in it. It is absolutely a pet peeve for me for students to turn in work that they know have errors in it. All right. So you want to put your best foot forward, and you also want to get a good grade, right? Yes, the writing process is complete, and hopefully this will be you. Hopefully you will do excellent work on all of your writing projects. So congratulations. This is the end of the writing process. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Happy writing.